Hey Dave, you attended our Challenging Minds session today.
Yes, I have.
We were very happy to have you here. So, and in this Challenging Minds we have also put in your knowledge cafe format, but also some other things. What did you think about the day and about the format?
It's kind of blown me away a little because it's the first time I think ever in my life I've just experienced those small group conversations around a particular topic, and it's kind of cafe-like, but it's not quite the cafe, because in the cafe I might have 30 people, maybe broken up into say groups, so say 6 groups of 5, in conversations at small tables. Here we've just got one small group. Well, today, the way it was working, we had one small group with 7 or 8 people,
Yeah.
and having a conversation that had been partly triggered by the videos that you'd shown earlier in the day, and then the sort of structured material that we were reading through that allowed us to read things, reflect on things, and then pose questions of each other. And I say I've never experienced anything quite like that, and it just works incredibly well. And one of the insights I had that kind of got me quite excited was this. When I do the cafe, we start off in small groups, and there's several small groups having conversations with each other. Then we change tables a few times to have different conversations. Then we come together at the end as a whole group to have a conversation in a circle. Now, what we were doing today, we started off having the conversation in the circle, and there was kind of no such thing as the small group conversations, except I suddenly realized that there was. When we got up to go for coffee, we tended to then break up into little smaller groups of 2s or 3s, and to carry on the conversation over coffee. And what was also interesting about that, those groups formed purely by chance. If you'd said to me, find somebody in the room to pair with to have a conversation, I would have probably made a beeline on somebody that seemed interesting in some way. I ended up having a conversation with a guy in the group who was from Peru, and I probably wouldn't have picked him for whatever reason, but we just bumped into each other in the corridor and started to have a conversation. And I'm not even too sure how the conversation started, but the conversation just picked up on something before we knew where we were. As all conversations do, the conversation had taken us down a really interesting path, purely by accident. So this whole thing was a little bit like a cafe in reverse, and I was kind of wondering how I could take what you've been doing and start to play with it and experiment it myself, sort of in the context of my London cafes, which are, they're public events. Most of the time, I'm in control of them, if you like. I can decide what the topic is, I can decide the format, and often I try to experiment with them. And I want to take some of the things that you're doing with Challenging Minds and start to experiment. What can I do by say pairing people up into smaller groups, into 2s and 3s, maybe actually getting people to talk to others where they don't get to choose for themselves. That maybe I get to choose, or they throw a dice or something. I don't know. I never like the cafes and things to be too prescriptive or to be too controlling. On the other hand, just trying to set the scene so that people interact with other people in chance ways and in different ways is actually quite exciting.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for your comments.
Okay, yeah.
Very nice to have you here.
But I just love being here. I love running the Knowledge Cafe workshop yesterday. There's some brilliant people, some great conversation. And then this little, inviting me to today, just having this little taster of the event today, has just been quite an eye-opener. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Okay, good.